Blood West by Steve Barr.
Context. Near the end of the Civil War, Captain Samuel Pike deserts the Confederate Army to help escaped slaves escape capture. Now, with a bounty on his head, he agrees to escort a devout family across the desert to a new town where they can practice their religion in peace. Their religion is very strict. They barely sleep, they don't eat in public, and they never allow themselves to be touched by sunlight. But despite being vampires, the family is friendly to Pike and want to live in solitude away from the day people. But when they get to the new town, they discover that the charismatic town leader is preaching a return to the ancient ways where night people are the top of the food chain and day people are their prey. In this scene, near the middle of the story, Pike hasn't yet realized the extent of the danger. He's been exploring the town and in the stable finds an ox that is nearly dead from the systemic blood harvesting. He pulls his pistol to put the ox out of its misery, and we cut to exterior stables day. Bang! The gunshot from inside echoes around the deserted town. A moment passes and Pike walks out through the stable door. He's reloading his revolver so he doesn't see the four horsemen in the street until one of them cocks a rifle. Pike slowly raises his head, his eyes becoming visible as his hat brim rises. He coolly waits for the four men to make a move. The man who had cooked the rifle isn't pointing at Pike, but he's not exactly pointing it away. His name is Seth.
What's your name, mister?
Who's asking?
I am. Seth Johnson's my name. I'm from New Canaan. I'll ask again, what's your name?
Name's Pike.
What's your business here?
Put up your rifle.
The youngest and brashest of the men, Dan, puts his hand on the holstered pistol.
You're not one to be giving us orders.
You're not ones to be asking me questions.
The oldest man, Doc, is a peacekeeper. He motions for Seth to point the rifle away. Seth reluctantly does so.
We're not looking for a fight. We just want to know about this town.
Just got here myself. I won't be here long.
Where's everyone else?
They don't come out during the day.
The fourth man, Al, is solid and steadfast.
Why the fuck not?
They're religious folk. Got peculiar habits.
Like maybe consorting with the fucking devil.
Dan, that's enough of that.
What's your man's complaint?
His young wife is one of them that's disappeared in the night.
Yeah, some from my town think the savages are kidnapping white women for wives, but women ain't the only that have gone missing.
You want to know why we came here, mister? This place is right smack dab in the middle of the township. It's been losing at the nighttime.
His rifle starts slowly swinging back toward Pike.
And now, you tell me it's full of peculiar folks that only go out at night.
Mister, I got no quarrel with you. Best not point that rifle at me.
Where's my wife, you son of a bitch?
I spent weeks traveling here. I've been in this place less than a day, and I plan to leave soon as I can. I haven't the first fucking clue where your wife has got to, boy.
Calm down, Dan.
Fuck you, Doc. This horson is in league with devil worshippers.
Kid might have a point, Doc. This town ain't right. And this man got a hunted look on.
What'd you say your name was again?
I don't know where you people have gone. I gave you my word. You don't have to do this, son.
I ain't your fucking son.
And Dan makes the worst decision of his short life. He throws down on Pike. Quick as thought, Pike's big pistol flashes out. Boom! The bullet smashes into Dan's shoulder, knocking him off his horse. He hits the ground hard, writhing in the dust. Pike lowers his pistol so it's not pointing at any of the other men. He watches them, ready for anything. The three men look at each other, Doc terrified, Seth shocked, Al uncertain, each waiting for the other to make the first move. Pike watches and waits.
Don't.
Finally, it's Doc who seals their fates. In slow motion, he pulls his pistol. Seth and Al see this and back his play. Seth brings the rifle around and Al pulls his own pistol. They look like they're moving underwater. Pike frowns and raises his own gun and smash back to full speed as he fans the hammer, shooting 3 times. A bullet catches Seth in the mouth. His teeth fly in all directions and the back of his head explodes outwards. Al is caught high in the chest, and the force of the bullet knocks him out of the saddle. The third bullet slices through the side of Doc's neck. Blood fountains into the air. He clamps a hand on the wound and falls from his horse, landing on the dust. Pike lowers his gun. He doesn't want to have to finish off Duck. Blood streaming from under his hand, Doc struggles to pick up his pistol from where it landed next to him. Pike steps forward slowly, quickly.
Don't.
Doc cocks the pistol and aims it at Pike. Pike is close enough to be a good target, but too far away to kick the gun away. He has no choice. His pistol whips out and he fires twice, slamming Doc down into the dust. The gunfight is over just as abruptly as it started. Pike hangs his head as smoke rises from his gun.
Erebus by Martin Aguilera.
Interior art room day. Bondurant flashes Pauline that smile of his again. It could melt ice.
What aren't you showing us, Pauline? What's the thing you feel truly burdened by? There is something, isn't there? You're holding back. Pauline.
There is a thing. All right, I'll show you.
Interior Vogel House hallway day. Pauline leads the group toward one more room.
Understand, what's in this room is a bit delicate, particularly because of my father's high profile. I don't want a word of this to get out.
They've reached the door to the office.
We understand. Our strict non-disclosure policies allow you to maintain anonymity for the auction.
Thank you.
She opens the door. Interior Vogel House office day. The private study of the late Hermann Vogel is a stark contrast to the previous 2 rooms. Nazi memorabilia is strewn about. SS flags, swastikas, Reichsseidler, Imperial Eagle emblems, among various other symbols issue the Third Reich. On the wall behind the desk, an oil-on-canvas portrait of old Vogel looms, a stern-looking man scowling down on the world.
Oh. Well, that's, interesting.
I know, right? Fascist chic.
It's certainly not who we are.
People collect all sorts of unpleasant historical artifacts that acquire value with the passage of time.
Gramps was just a bigoted old fuck.
Pauline goes to the desk and slides out the top drawer, brings up a wooden box and sets it down.
This was the first piece of his collection.
Pauline lifts the lid to reveal the timepiece, a gold-plated pocket watch made with impeccable craftsmanship. The watch itself vastly older than the World War II era encasing that contains it, centuries older. Pauline retrieves it and snaps it around to show an elaborate intertwined swastika and Totenkopf, death's head, engraving on the back. Her hands shake a little.
The old man never showed me that before.
It's just an old pocket watch. I always thought it was ugly, and I don't like it. I never have. Dad claimed it changed his fortunes, but I think what it changed was him. That's why it scares me. Seems silly, I know.
Not at all. I mean, considering all this.
Time is a monster that gets stronger each quarter hour. I used to say, whatever that meant. I don't even think it works anymore.
May I?
Gotta be careful with this one. It bites.
Instead of pressing it full on with her thumb, Pauline uses a fingernail to slide down the latch release sheath, from which a sharp needle emerges. She holds it so they can all see. That's definitely not a Rolex. By the pricking of my thumb, something wicked this way comes. Von Duren extracts a pair of white cotton gloves from his jacket, makes a production of slipping them on before taking the piece from a relieved Pauline. Everyone is riveted. Bondurant's point of view, engraved in small print in German on the inside of the cover plate. For H.H. von KMW. Gently running his fingers over the tip of the needle, it catches the light and tick, 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 tock. We're circling around him and everyone is gone. All sound drops out except for the ticking of the timepiece, so loud it's almost deafening. Dollies zoom on Bondurant like a statue, frozen in place, everything around him shifting. Whipping around with bullet time efficiency, we land on the portrait. Vogel's soulless, beady eyes bearing into us, and the ticking stops. Wide angle. We're back in the moment. Bondurant holding up the watch and Pauline speaking mid-sentence.
Seems like it was some kind of weapon.
Or a really mean-spirited gag gift. Worth anything?
What was that?
I asked, is it worth anything?
Bondurant removes the gloves and drapes them over a chair.
We won't know until we get it looked at. Like everything else, I guess we'll have to wait to find out.
Taking this as a sign of its worthlessness, Caleb sets the timepiece in the box and leaves it on the desk.
If you'll please cross your T's and dot your I's, we'll get to it.
Ellis hands a clipboard, forms, and pen to Pauline, who steps aside to read them with Caleb hovering at her shoulder. You good? Though clearly shaken by what happened, Bondurant nods. They leave it at that.
Primordial by Andrew H. Henderson.
Exterior desert night.
My children, our guest of honor has arrived.
Armitage and the hooded figures stare at Pickman.
Mr. Pickman, so good to see you again. Do you have the painting?
Pickman raises his arm as he shows the veiled painting.
Where's my daughter?
Armitage's gaping maw of a mouth curves sinisterly, something beneath its skin crawling and moving. She motions her hand toward the mine shaft.
Come and see.
As Pickman comes face to face with Armitage, he flinches at the thing's appearance. Skin pallid and yellow, ill-fitting, like a disjointed, grotesque Halloween mask.
You're not Jade Armitage. What are you?
Armitage again grins a sinister, impossible grin.
You don't remember me, do you? I remember you. I am but an acolyte of those born from the blackest depths of the blackest stars, worshipped eons before the dawn of your infant pliable species, those who will remain worshipped eons after the exhaustion of your purportless orb, those who have always been and always will be, those who have existed before the dawn of time and will exist long after, the primordial ones.
Why me?
You already know the answer to that. It's time, Mr. Pickman.
For what?
The ascension of your evolution. It's time for you to shed your chrysalis and embrace your transformation. The truth lies beyond. Isn't that what you want? To know what happens to her, your daughter?
Armitage unfurls a clawed hand as she holds the painting.
See for yourself.
Pickman's hand trembles as he reaches for the painting's veil. He rips it off. We can't see the painting, but Pickman's eyes widen like saucers, tears welling up. His entire body convulses.
No, that's a lie. It isn't real.
Armitage's maddened eyes and malignant grin widen in unison as she revels in Pickman's horror. The thing encroaches toward Pickman with the painting.
Isn't that what you wanted, Mr. Pickman? Isn't that what you begged and pleaded for in your deepest, darkest hours of despair? What you sold your very soul to them for?
Pickman frantically rolls up his sleeve in disbelief. On his forearm, he sees the Ouroboros symbol singeing itself into his skin.
No. It's not true.
Oh, Oh, but it is. This is the deal you've struck, Mr. Pickman, and now the time has come to pay your pound of flesh.
He staggers backward in fear, unknowingly staggering toward the blackened maw of the mine shaft behind him.
Where's my daughter? Where's my little girl?
Armitage continues to drive Pickman backwards with the painting, like a vampire cowering from a holy cross. Pickman loses his footing as he trips over the edge of the shaft, Armitage hissing into his ear as he tumbles into the obfuscated abyss.
They love all their children, even you.
Tainted by Dan Benamor.
Interior County Medical Examiner, autopsy room, night. Gina stands in the autopsy room with the medical examiner, Haley Lamar. Gina has a terrified look on her face. She looks about 5 minutes away from having a nervous breakdown. Haley has a detached, unstable vibe. Wildly unprofessionally, she is smoking a cigarette in the autopsy room.
I haven't concluded the autopsies yet. You can probably guess why.
We don't see exactly what's in front of them, but we see just enough to understand why Gina is losing her shit. The protrusions Gina and Paige saw on the fetuses in the ultrasound imagery have grown. We get only a slight glimpse, but it seems the protrusions grew out.
It wasn't like this in the final ultrasound. How could this have happened after?
My autopsy report is way overdue. I can't explain why. You're the first person I've told. Couldn't bring myself to say it out loud.
Haley ashes her cigarette out and immediately lights another one.
I beat lung cancer 3 years ago, so I'd never touch this stuff again.
She keeps smoking and staring ahead at the unholy sight we can only guess at.
In my autopsy report, I will probably say this is some sort of bizarre genetic mutation, but right now I'll say to you, I have absolutely no fucking idea how this is possible.
Exterior County Medical Examiner's office, night. Paige pulls up in her truck outside the County Medical Examiner's office. Gina steps out of the blocky white medical examiner's office. She looks like she's seen a ghost. There's a big arch decorated with American flags on the adjacent street, which hums with traffic of it at night. Gina walks under it, crossing the street to reach her aging sedan. Paige gets out of her car and nods to Gina. Having come from seeing Carrick, she's got her own mental fog going.
Sorry, I ran a little late. There was an accident on the 475. Gina?
Gina's so out of it that she nearly gets hit by a car, which honks at her. Paige recognizes something is seriously wrong with her.
Gina? Gina?
Gina makes it to her sedan and gets in. It's like she can't hear Paige. She walks towards her, but she drives off before Paige can reach Gina's car. Paige watches her car drive away. Gina swerves her car for no discernible reason. Gina drives her car straight into a light pole. Gina ejected through the windscreen. She violently hits the light pole, her neck contorted at a terrible angle, her body sprawled out on the hood of her car. Paige can only stare in horror at what's before her. She approaches Gina's body. She's dead. Gina's eyes are frozen, staring blankly ahead. Her neck is at that impossible angle. Her arm broken has the whited bone sticking out of it. But, impossibly, she moves her mouth and speaks. Paige can't hear her. She speaks too softly. She leans closer.
What is it?
It's better if they die.
Finally, Gina dies. Exterior County Medical Examiner later. This is now an emergency response scene. An ambulance and a fire engine are parked on the street. Paramedics and firemen work together to extricate Gina's body from the hood of her car and move her into the medical examiner's office. Least she gave us a short trip. Paige stands at the fringe of the scene, leaning against her truck. Dr. Bucker pulls up in his BMW, parks and steps out. He sees Paige and comes over beside her. Dr. Bucker paints an almost believable stern expression of grief.
She was one of the good ones.
Paige doesn't respond.
Seems like she was driving erratically.
I guess you could say that.
She and I had spoken several times since you were hired. She was fond of you.
Paige takes her time before answering.
Who told you?
The medical examiner's office called me. Gina was our employee.
Okay.
They watch as the paramedics wheel Gina on a gurney back into the medical examiner's office.
Your friend Lana was one of my patients.
Yes.
I understand you visited Megan Oliver's boyfriend after her death.
Why would he tell you that?
I just want to assure you, obviously this has been a hellish series of events for all of us, but I handled Lana's complications exactly as any other doctor would. And that's just as true for Megan and the other woman and the other women.
I appreciate that.
Yet, you've requested Dr. Ross for your wife's delivery.
That's a personal preference. She wants a female doctor.
I'll try not to be offended.
Paige gestures to the scene of the death of their co-worker 15 yards away.
Maybe this is not the time to talk about.
Can I give you some advice I wouldn't listen to?
Do I have a choice?
We all want answers. Sometimes there aren't any. Sometimes there are only horrible ones. And I can tell you that and you can hear it, but you'll still want to ask the question. Believe me when I say things will only get worse the more you ask.
What the hell does that mean?
I should go talk to the ME. Have a good night, Mrs. Kern.
Dr. Bucker steps towards the medical examiner's office. Paige hesitates only for a moment, considering their work relationship, but can't help herself.